So for the next step, we're going to start adding windows. So there's lots of different types of windows. This one is where it's two different ones that you would say push up to open. Then this is just where it's the top and bottom, but you would still push it open. I've had where you could draw them and it's the window that slides open. But the simple part is, it's just we're gonna start off with a rectangle, and then those will be drawing across, and then we'll use the lines here that go to that part. So on this other one I've drawn, you can kind of see how I've given slight little lines for our guidelines as references, and then we'll start drawing our other parts in. This could be a window here if you wanted it. I just put it that that's where the TV was going, but it's your choice where you want your two windows to go. But I'm gonna start with the one in the back, and then you can add your own details of curtains and what kind of window frame. But remember, you'd have, say, wood trim around your windows and the wood sills, and how do we open it? Is there a little knob? You know, which kind of latches do you have for your different types of windows? So to get started with that, right here is where we're going to be putting our window. So we need to decide, and I'm just gonna do a light guideline mark of, say, I want the top of the window to be there, and then the bottom of the window to be there. So what I would do is use my ruler here to get straight lines, and it doesn't have to be perfectly center here. You could have a window here and a window here. It's just your choice where you're wanting them. And it could go straight on those X's or not. I'm gonna go out just a little bit and make a vertical line here. And I'm gonna go over here and make another vertical line. And go back over here, line the ruler up to the edge of the page to make that top part of the window. So remember, these little marks will be getting erased later, but we still need to think of how our window is built. So when doing that, what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do another rectangle inside of it, and then we'll start adding the different framing parts to it. So let's get started. Now that this window is done, I'm going to put my other window over here on the other side, but what I'm going to do first is draw a guideline of what was the bottom of these parts and then the top of these parts. And I'm I'm drawing this lightly because they're all going to get erased, but there are guidelines for our window over here later. Now what I'm doing, since they're drawn out all the way over here, I'm going to line them up with the vanishing point so I can get the angles of the windows here. So it's going to be angling down this way, but when it gets up here, it's going to be angling this way. And here, when it's close to the vanishing point, it's going to be straight across. And these are all things that will be some of it, because it's not going to be a gigantic window. I'm going to erase some of it later, but these will be darkened, some of the lines, and some will be getting erased. But I'm lining it up to that top line. I'm just going to draw my lines now. And I do these just because it will help so much later instead of just guessing where things are going to go. And that's why I was saying earlier, draw things lightly when we're doing them, because you'll go back and color them and make nice lines too. Some people like outlining in the fine tip Sharpie. You guys can do that if you wanted to. I just don't all the time, because if you think about it, when we look at realistic things, not everything's outlined in a black outline. Like, we're not outlined in a black outline when we're drawing ourselves or vehicles or pets. We think of everything has the black outline because when we started coloring in coloring books, they had the black outline, so we just kind of go with it from there. So now we need to decide how wide is our window going to be here, and we need to make 2 vertical lines to get that started. So I'm going to go about right here for a vertical line, and then over here for, say, the other vertical line. And you're like, this window is bigger. Yes, it is, because this one is closer to us as the viewer. I'm going to have it almost going off the page here. So I'm going to make this the window frame now. So like right here, I did those little angles for the window frame. So it'd be the molding, I guess you could call it. So it's going to have a line here and another line here for the vertical. This will be a little bit smaller on this side just because it's a little bit further away. So it is this line and this one. And I'll erase this just so you can see it a little bit better from here. Erase it on the wall now because we know it doesn't need there. And I'm going to keep those just for the moment, but this would be drawn like this. This is that miter cut that we did when I'm going to add a little tiny line over here. So a little vertical line. And can you guess what I just made that do? I gave it thickness of what that molding is on our window. So now we need to relook at how we drew this. So this would be the bottom of the window. This would be still the bottom pane of the window, but the top. So we need a vertical line again, which is these. And you could just go ahead and do the ones on the top right now too, since your ruler's there. So I should have done that back here. So that's where those would be. Then what we also had was the line going straight across, so this is showing. And then there was this other line that I didn't put. We could draw it right now, so I'm going to line it up to the vanishing point here. Because this is showing that bottom one is sticking out further than that top one. And we could make it a little bit further back, but what I'm also going to do is a vertical line right here and an angle, so that's showing, and a little tiny one right there. That gives it kind of thickness, and we'll do a little bit there. And so how we did the side ones here, we're not going to see this side because that's the, say, the back side of something, so we're seeing this part. But what I'm still going to do is line the bottom one up to the vanishing point and draw a second line, so it's giving a little bit of an edge right here on that window. I'm going to check and see if I can draw another one right there, and that's a no for this window because it's all still on that line. I'm going to move this up, and it doesn't look like I could draw one from there, but I could draw one for what would be the top of the window this time. So now I can see the edge of that. I'm going to put a little diagonal line there, little diagonal line connecting them, and that way it just gives it the dimension part. And also put that little twisty thing right there. The ones I grew up with, they're kind of like an oval and then just have that little part sticking out for your thumb to move them and everything. So then you would add in your curtain rod of whatever type you're doing. If you're going to do something like this one where it has those parts that the rod sets on top of, you could do that. You could just draw a straight across one. This one has those decorative little parts that you have. So you could do that later or you could do it now. I'm just going to go ahead and do it now so you could see, but maybe I want my curtain rod to be from, say, here to here. I'm going to draw my vertical line going across the back of the page. That looks like it'd be even spaces around it. Then do the other part of the bar for the curtain rod. So now I have that. Remember, what I'm going to do is make a guideline over to the wall over here. And from that, I'm going to line it up to the vanishing point and draw my curtain rod again. So the curtain rod's right there. And then sticking out past the window. You could add that little ball thing if you wanted to. And what I'm also going to do is just draw this little part right here. And I'm just kind of thinking of them as like little curves because it's curving around it. And then there's usually a part attached to the wall. So we would see the one curve around here, going up and over, and then just a little circle kind of attached to the wall there. And this one, for me, is off the edge of the page. And then what you would do is just draw whatever type of curtains that you're wanting to put in there. You could do even sheer curtains like what I did. So they're just some wavy lines, but I'm going to add the curtains for those last little details.